And so, let us continue with the rest of this run, or this new run of, I call it the Jimmy and Buddy run. Every issue is written by either Jimmy Palmiotti, or Buddy Scalera. Jimmy and Buddy. So Jimmy does a lot of the first ones, but we start actually not with a Deadpool comic, but with X-Men Unlimited. And it's just this great. There's a couple different parts, but this is the Deadpool part, I guess. It's 10 pages of film noir Deadpool. So I love seeing Deadpool in trench coat and fedora. He does it numerous other times, but this one's just great. And it's actually pretty dark. I'm holding this 15-year-old girl hostage, and she's really suicidal, but, Deadpool's kind of into suicidal girls. I mean, so am I. But it ends in tragedy and a plot twist that makes no sense. So read that for yourself. The actual beginning of the true beginning of this next run is probably with the 3-part issues Cruel Summer, and it starts off with Deadpool, working hard for his money, but he ends up buying this big old warehouse, so he's no longer at that apartment, of course, because with Constrictor and Tatiana, who was really copycat. But so he ends up being at this place for a bit. He gets rung up for a job, and a police officer wants him to kill off 6 members of the mafia. So we just have a nice, fun story unfolding with Deadpool's got to track down 6 members of the mafia, and that guy kind of looks like Forrest Whitaker. So his contact is actually this tattoo artist who knows all of these mob guys. And so he's sent to go talk to her. And there's tons of fun, creative ways that we see Deadpool killing these guys. And there's a lot of great... somewhere along the storyline, the wife of the cop who hired him gets assassinated, and we don't see who did it. But there's just some great stuff, and Deadpool's kind of been a little bit flirty with the tattoo artist, and she seems to actually kind of like him too. And it continues a little more their relationship in the next one. He shows up dressed like one of the Deadpool. If you don't remember in the earlier ones, he can, he often did this a lot more, where he changes his appearance to look like someone else, and he could teleport, but doesn't teleport all that often, and I'm sure he could have several times to get out of situations, but they just choose not to have him do that, because whatever, it's comedy. He dresses up like one of the mobsters, like one of the lead mobsters, and just says tells off, "I slept with your wife and your mother," or whatever, to this other mobster, then runs away, talks to the other mobster, does the same thing, and then they kill each other. So there's a lot of great creative ways that he finds to kill some of the mafia guys, and we're seeing a bit more of, like, he goes on a date with the tattoo artist, but we're sure something's probably up with her. Someone is pulled out of the flames of a trunk of a car that Deadpool thought he had killed. And looks like that guy survives and ends up, I think, in the hospital. Yeah, ends up in the hospital. Deadpool convinces someone else in the room. It's like, hey, turns out our boss wants us to 15 grand to kill the guy in the hospital. Sweet. So that's assumed that she does that. Meanwhile, he's still with the tattoo artist, and we find out that I think she has betrayed him. Yes. Dun, dun, dun. Because, we probably felt that we couldn't trust her from the beginning anyways, but, if you didn't see it coming, you didn't see it coming. But, so he gets betrayed. We find out that the guy in the hospital actually didn't die when the woman who was paid to do a hit on him he of course had his gun on him. Why wouldn't he? People are trying to kill him. So he had his gun on him in the hospital. Deadpool's been buried. He gets himself out of it. Or actually, no, he doesn't get himself out of it. The tattoo artist actually was trying to double cross the other guy, the cop. So the cop was trying to screw Deadpool over. She said she was in on it, but didn't actually want to screw Deadpool over. But it seems like this weird twist about. She ends up killing someone that she didn't need to, which Deadpool's really not down for. So it ends up being just kind of a weird, really fast issue, as I recall. And because it all takes kind of place in this parking lot and their argument, and ultimately she's like trying to say, like run away with me kind of thing and fresh start, and it's just like, no, you've done too many just really horrible things, and he has no problem cocking the hammer. We don't see what happens, but it can be assumed because we don't see her again. The next issue is actually the artwork that we see on the hardcover, and it's a fun little issue in which we do see a flashback. He's still thinking about the tattoo artist, but it starts with this weird film noir-y opening just for no reason. He saves a little old lady, brings her to the hospital, and she really takes a shine to him. And then at the same time, a sexy nurse is impressed by him and gives him her number. They end up going on a date. Deadpool in a suit, white suit, just something special about that. But this whole issue is an interesting thing because Deadpool sees like this woman being harassed by a guy at a bar, and then she ends up giving him her number, and the woman delivering something to the warehouse ends up being interested in him, and the whole issue is him just continually getting something like five different girls. But what ends up happening at the very end is we reveal, dun dun dun, all of them that he ran into was actually Copycat. And then we get to this cover here, which is actually the cover on the dust jacket. So kind of the dust jacket's kind of a cleaner, more colorful, printed up version of that. But so this is a bit of a continuation of the story. Actually, I think this is the beginning of a two-parter. This is issue 50, yeah. So he's hired to to assassinate this guy before something bad happens. But he keeps getting a phone call from all of these sort of fake girls that are actually Copycat messaging him. And he's distracted, and the guy that hired him to do the hit actually gets killed by that guy. And his son was there, and now his son kind of wants to kill Deadpool, but Deadpool kind of made a promise that he'll still get the guy. So Ned Deadpool is teaming up with this kid. Pool Boy is what he ends up wanting to call himself, wearing one of Deadpool's old costumes. And it's this fun little thing, and there's a few times throughout where Pool Boy keeps trying to like secretly kill Deadpool when he's not looking, or when he thinks he has the upper hand. Meanwhile, Copycat is getting very pissed off at Deadpool for not telling her that there's other women, even though she is those other women. And it's just kind of a funny, dumb little thing. But then we get another great cover. Some of these covers are just awesome. I love the silliness of that. Although I don't kind of like how stupid Pool Boy looks there. I kind of wanted to call him Kid Pool, but that's a character that actually comes later. So he still made the promise to go assassinate this guy, and the kid really wants to take the shot himself. They end up getting into more trouble as a result of it on their stakeout. I believe in this issue, somewhere in this issue, there's a cutaway. Maybe I already missed it. There's a cutaway of an upcoming plot that has nothing to do with this issue. We see more of Copycat getting all pissed off that he's seeing another one. Yeah. So we see more of this storyline of these two twins that were, I think, skipping school or something like that. We don't really see much of their faces. They were, but they kill their principal, who is like coming to their parents' house to find them. But it just cuts away, like it's clearly leading up to something. And we know that their names were, I think, Mary and something Mercy. Mary and Bridget Mercy. But it does end with... sorry, I should get back to the actual story. So they assassinate the guy. The kid gets to blow them up, and that's great. He sends them on his way, and the kid tries to blow up Deadpool's warehouse, but Deadpool kind of knew that it was happening, so he disassembled everything, and that's essentially he got out of it, and Pool Boy is never to be seen again. Actually, I'm not even sure if that's true. So the next couple issues cover these two twins, these the Mercy twins, these two hot 18-year-old blondish girls are all the rage in these this Deadpool comic, and they're serial killers. But it's kind of interesting because I think around the time this would have been printed, this is around like 2001 or so. Right around then, like the Olsen twins were kind of getting closer to the age of 18, and like New York Minute was coming out. So I wonder how much of it was sort of slightly influenced by that and sort of that ideal. But so yeah, they're murderers. Copycat, I don't think has even told. I'm not sure if she's told Deadpool at this point that it was her. I think she might have, but anyways, he's after the Olsen twins, and yes, the police officer on duty help to find them. Has a bit of a face-off on the rooftop. Ends up all the way getting crashed between two cars. I think one of the twins gets horribly injured because she didn't have her seatbelt on, and the other one's probably fine. But it shows one backflipping. That's probably not going to happen in this issue because one was badly hurt. So yeah, it's a great shot of just tons of band-aids, like well over 100 tiny band-aids placed on all the little cuts from the windshield. So I think Deadpool's taken a while to heal. His legs haven't quite healed yet. Copycat, or Vanessa, is still like calling him, pissed off that he won't meet and stuff. I think eventually she does show up so this is the issue where she does show up to reveal that she is the Veronica, the nurse that he had talked to. And he, of course, once again reveals, yeah, I knew the whole time, all five of them. I know you like no one else. I've known you for so long. I knew you went from the X-Force times and all that. So she's a little upset with that. She still wants to start a romantic relationship with him, but of course, Deadpool many times has turned down what is clearly sort of good for him and someone who would understand him and be there for him. Like whoever's the best for him, he always seems to be very bothered by, because he doesn't want to ruin their life through being with him. And that's kind of always been sort of a sad, tragic, but interesting draw to the character that adds sort of this much needed depth to the comedic character. Kind of makes you think about, some of those like profound quotes they have by someone like Robin Williams, just how sort of funny he was. But the rest of the issue is it's pretty funny, where it's Deadpool is calling the remaining Mercy sister over the phone and just traumatizing her. He's not even anywhere near her, and like through pissing her off, she ends up, slipping up and getting us and landing up right in position for him to assassinate her. So it was a fun little two-parter, and it leads to another. They have this nice little thing where the issue really kind of ends here, but then they have to hook you in to buy the next issue because the next issue has the Punisher in it, and the plot line. We'll talk about the plot line in this one. So that's the cover. Deadpool versus the Punisher, although the versus part doesn't happen quite right away. So this mobster finds out that his aunt's inheritance is on the condition that he, I believe, kill the Punisher. So unless he can kill the Punisher, he won't get his like $300 million or whatever the hell. And of course, Deadpool hears about this job and he's like, well, I'll take that job. So he agrees, and he's off to find creative, fun ways to try to kill the Punisher. And meanwhile, Vanessa and him are still trying to figure out what they want to be, if they want to be anything. And it's kind of sad because I feel bad for Vanessa. At the end of it, I think at some point the Punisher fakes his own death a little bit or something like that. He takes off, like while they're in the water. Yeah, it's the next issue. While they're in the water, he takes off his shirt to make it look like he's died, so that so this guy thinks he's got the inheritance, but he doesn't. So there's more just fun back and forth. Deadpool versus Punisher. There actually is like a separate like 4-issue Deadpool versus Punisher limited series that you can check out. But obviously he doesn't actually kill the Punisher at the end of it, because why would he? And then I think, yeah, and they end up killing probably the bad mafia guys. But yeah, and then there's a bit of a scene at the end where it looks like he is going to be coming together with Copycat. But Copycat's a very jealous type, and she gets very, very attached to him in what is actually the last issue of the Buddy and Jimmy run, as I call it. This one's only written by Buddy Scalera, but I recall it being a little. He's fighting someone. No, there's a bit of a cat and mouse kind of thing going on, back and forth between the whole thing, and he runs into. Oh yeah, he gets a sorry, I screwed that entire thing up. He gets a text message or an answering machine message from Siren saying, "Hey, we haven't seen you in a while." So then Copycat pretends to be Deadpool and is really flirtatious with Siren, but it's really Copycat. Siren reciprocates, and then she like punches her and is like, "Stay away from my man!" And it's just kind of ridiculous. Meanwhile, Deadpool's trying to do this, catch this fast guy that I think this fast speedster kind of guy. So that's kind of a little Roadrunner Wile E. Coyote thing going on. He literally crashes into an Acme fireworks factory at one point. So like they were very self-aware when they were writing it, and you know Vanessa's Copycat. Vanessa's very upset about the whole Siren thing. Siren shows up, slaps Deadpool because she thinks that he punched her, and then Deadpool ends up kind of with nobody. And last thing that happens is his entire warehouse is blown up because Pool Boy still had the other detonator or something like that. And then at the very end, the speedster guy shows up and he shoots him. And he's like, "Yeah, take that." And sadly, that was the last of the Buddy and Jimmy run. I also call it the Booby run, actually, because I think every single issue had some amount of like cleavage going on in it. But I don't know. I liked those, however much that was, those 11 issues that we got from those two guys. And yeah, all in all, I'm for the most part really liking the second half of Deadpool from the original run. I give this one also a yeah out of. Thank you for watching, and as always, stay cuddly.